In the coming months, we will be under a great and significant process of transformation within our country. The upcoming political election is a moment for the United States to embark on a much-needed path to create harmony among all fields of being. The past has been paved by countless missteps. I view this in my own personal journey, as well as the ongoing evolution of our planet and society and civilization of people. The past has had terrifying glimpses of the worst humanity has to offer. Just in recent history, we can account for the war in Gaza and the war in Ukraine. The last century's proliferation of wars in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Cold War, and Gulf War. The First World War was a global conflict centered in Europe in the early 20th century, with the Allies on one side and the Central Powers on the other. Remembered as the war to end all wars for its massive death tally, more than 9 million combatants lost their lives in the Great War. The Second World War was the deadliest conflict in human history, involving the militaries of every world power and marked by the emergence of the German Nazis, the ensuing Holocaust, and the only deployment of nuclear weapons in the history of warfare. The first hot conflict in what would become the Cold War. The mid-20th century's Korean War was costly and frustrating, with territorial gains fluctuating rapidly over the course of 4 years. Exceptionally brutal weather conditions and atrocities committed on both sides. In 1955, the communist North Vietnamese National Liberation Front Viet Cong invaded South Vietnam in an attempt to overthrow leader Ngo Dinh Diem and reunite the country by force. The United States became increasingly involved in Vietnam over the next several years, and began deploying troops in 1964 with the passage of the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. The Cold War was a period of political and military tension between the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics USSR and the United States. From the end of World War II in 1945 until the collapse of the USSR in 1991, these superpowers and their respective allies stood toe-to-toe in a nuclear weapons standoff. In this reflection of time on the wars that have ensued, it is evident that the term peace is a hard and difficult concept to attain. I think of the mantra of yin/yang and the concept that all creation and existence must exist in some form of balance and equal duality. Meaning to exist, there must be an equal balance of goodness, harmony, and peace versus the chaos and violent collateral of war and sins humanity have experienced. This concept that you cannot have one without the other is a concept that, in time, I hope to eliminate within my own personal soul and being. It must start within. It must start within all of us to transform the chaotic nature of ourselves and to pivot into a way of delivering care, kindness, peace, joy, love, generosity, compassion, and goodwill to ourselves and to other living and sentient beings. We live in a world now where we are gifted with the ability to access information almost at a touch of a button or as quickly as the thought impulse reaches from head to fingertips. We are able to find ways of manifesting something out of nothing in ways we did not have 100 years ago, or even 10, 15, or 20 years ago. This concept that we must continue in these terrible and violent human cycles of barbarism is an old-fashioned belief. It is an old-fashioned and outdated thought pattern that can and should be eliminated. It starts with the individual thought within one's own being to not transgress violence or pain to oneself. In a way, it starts with every individual at a grassroots level. It begins in our homes, in our schools, in our workplaces, in our communities, and throughout the world that we live. The thought of chaos and violence is not something we would wish for our mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, cousins, acquaintances, strangers, and children, so we truly should not elicit those givings to ourselves or unto others. It is a modality of inner work that is an extremely difficult but beautiful journey of transformation of ourselves and our planet. On this path to rewriting our human story, we should collectively consider what it is that we would hope our story evolve and continue to be. If we were to analyze the events and history of humanity and this planet, and consider the events, thoughts, and actions we have accumulated in this grand scheme of time, we would find a mix of beauty and utter chaos and blatant obscenities and unforgivable acts. The history of mankind is not necessarily a happy tale. The genesis of our story is beautiful. Now, it depends on what side of the story you choose to believe in, where we ourselves as a people originate. Did we come from some type of Big Bang event? What really caused this reality to spawn into what it currently is? This reality at its core is a mix of geometrical phenomena on a quantum scale that manifests constantly in a vortex of energy. Geometry is the foundation of every shape and structure we find in our waking reality. Our thought patterns are non-physical and therefore a construct of something we cannot even comprehend. What is thought? What is consciousness? You cannot touch it. You cannot see your consciousness or spirit. You can only see what light reflects and bends its way around different physical objects from the eyes and the origin of your living avatar. From here, it is safe to ponder, what is real? What about my physical or online relationships? Are they real? Is my past, present, and future real? From here, we can assess that feeling of faith. We believe something is real. We feel that something is real. We feel that something is real and good. We believe that something out there is responsible for this organized chaos of planets and atoms that are uniformly dancing in a profound rotation around the ether and cosmos. At the end of the day, I lie awake and wonder about that stranger that I crossed paths and smiled at. Who made eye contact with me while I grabbed my morning coffee and on the way out the door and off to work? I may never cross paths with that individual again, and yet they were real for a brief moment. They were real and made me feel good for a moment when they held the door open for me as I approached and thanked them. They were real when I gave them my order at the counter and exchanged currency for a coffee. Fair trade. The realness is felt and experienced through interactions on a daily pattern of waking and preparing for the day and running off into the world. We do not have a chance to rewrite our history books. However, we have a chance to pave our way down a path that feels and looks right in order to create a world that has a balance of harmony, peace, goodness, love, friendship, joy, and optimism in what the future may hold. We know not what is real down the road and what obstacles we may face, but with a conscious effort of will, we have the God-given ability and right to pave wonders for ourselves, our brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, acquaintances, strangers, and children. It does not make sense for society to engage in warfare of any kind to strip ourselves of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It does not make sense to cripple ourselves with thoughts of harm because we are different and perhaps have different beliefs. It is okay to reject hatred and violence in an effort to build a home of harmony for our future selves. It makes sense to create a path forward hand in hand with our brothers and sisters to usher in a pathway to an Eden-like earth and to allow a fruitful abundance of joy, peace, harmony, love, and light to envelop our mind, body, and spirits. What a beautiful world that could be. We have a chance, and that chance starts with an idea. That chance starts with the flick of a domino and watching the cascade of dominoes fall with beautiful symmetry and elegance, to end the past occurrences of strife and to usher in a bright, vivid, and plentiful future of good and healing light. I am curious as to what you will find, and I am curious as to what we will accomplish for our current and future selves in these coming months and years. It is something I truly find value in believing we have the capacity to course correct our human flaws in a dance and pathway to a bigger and brighter and more beautiful future.